See, I knew they would explain things in the second movie, but did they have to retcon the first one to do it? Welcome back to my second review video of the Evil Dead movies. Obviously, today we'll be reviewing Evil Dead 2. As I stated in the beginning, I'm not a fan of the retcon. I understand why they had to retcon it. I believe Sam Raimi lost the rights to the first movie or something, and he decided to just like put everything that he did in the first movie in like the first 5 minutes of the second movie, so he had to cut out some stuff. If you just look it up, they will explain it better online. You see, I like to think that the second movie starts right after the ending of the first movie. I like to ignore the retcon beginning. And the reason for them to be in this creepy cabin for the second movie is just because Ash found out that it was abandoned and decided to break into it.
What's this place like?
Well, it's a little run down, but it's right up in the mountains.
Are you sure it's deserted?
Oh, yeah. I think so.
Anyways, let's just get into it. My first favorite scene is when the new Linda turns into one of those demon things, or the Deadites. I really enjoyed Linda's performance as a Deadite in the first movie, so I was really happy to get this back in the second one. My second favorite scene is when they do the camera panning again around to show the audience what Ash is looking at. It gets me immersed in the movie, and I feel like I'm getting a POV of the main character. My third favorite scene would have to be when Linda starts reassembling her body. She does that weird little dance in the woods and her head just starts rolling and then she puts it back on. I really like the special effects of that. It was very cool to watch. At this point in the movie, I believe the professor's daughter is on her way to the cabin with the missing pages of the book. I guess the burning of the book in the first movie doesn't actually happen here, so we still have the book in this movie. My fourth favorite scene would have to be when Ash confronts his evil self.
We just cut up our girlfriend with a chainsaw. Does that sound bye?
I really like that they added the element of Ash being able to go from like his Deadite side back to his normal side. So it's like he's got a good and an evil Ash inside of him. Then his hand gets completely corrupted and starts attacking him. And we all know what he ends up doing in order to get that hand away from him for good. This part of the movie reminded me of Idle Hands. I know that Idle Hands came out after this movie. I just saw Idle Hands before I saw the Evil Dead franchise. I also love how Ash just completely loses it in the cabin and the cabin starts laughing alongside Ash. It's not a favorite scene of mine, but I do sometimes giggle at that part. And this leads into my fifth favorite scene, which is when Ash cuts off his hand. This was so gnarly, and I love that they kept the gory elements of the first movie into the second movie. He didn't even think twice about it and just cuts it clean off. Also, I need to address that at this point, this random couple meets up with the professor and her assistant when they find out that the road has been blocked or the bridge broke, one of the two. I don't really like the couple. They're kind of annoying, and they're one of the reasons why this movie just was not as fun for me. I still enjoyed it. This movie is really good. It is better with the plot points than the first movie was, but the couple definitely just kind of like brought it down for me. If you want to dye your hair a vibrant color, get Iro because this stuff is just spectacular. Now we're skipping ahead a little bit to when the professor's assistant, and the couple make it to the cabin, and then they throw Ash in the cellar and all of that stuff. My sixth favorite scene would have to go to when the professor mentions that he had to get rid of his wife after she became a deadite, and then he reveals that she is in the cellar.
Buried her in the cellar. Buried her in the earthen floor of the fruit cellar.
I just love how right then and there is when she's like, oh, that's my cue, and then she just comes up. Like, why wasn't she already like roaming around downstairs or already trying to get out of the cellar to go after Ash? Or remember when Ash was hiding in the cellar towards the beginning? Why didn't she go after him then? She chose, oh, okay, this is my cue to come up because now they know I'm down here. That part was a little annoying, but what I really liked was Ash's reaction to the professor saying that in this scene. Are we done with the noise? No. That's a no. Then we get the iconic scene of the deadite mother looking out from the cellar, just like Cheryl from the first movie. Then the assistant becomes a deadite, and Ash goes ham on him. Then, of course, the idle hand from earlier has to make an appearance and scare Bobby Joe so much that she leaves the cabin. She runs off into the woods like it's safer out there for some reason. And of course, the woods attacks her and throws her body across the woods, or itself. I don't really see the impact at which her body is thrown, but I'm pretty sure she was thrown hard enough to not continue living. And the dude who was Bobby Joe's boyfriend, who I cannot remember his name, decides to grab a gun and point it at Ash as the professor and him, well, professor's daughter and him, are trying to figure things out with the pages. And he's like, you guys need to come with me to go find Bobby Joe. Like, this part kind of confused me. Like, why do you need the professor's daughter, what's her name, Annie. Why do you need Annie and Ash to come with you to go look for Bobby Joe? You have a gun, right? So why don't you go outside and go find her yourself? What? I understand he's supposed to be the antagonist, so he grabs the pages, he throws them in the cellar, he forces them to come with him outside, which is unsafe. So you make our protagonists be placed in an unsafe situation because of this other character. But the way it was executed, I was like, that is just dumb. He could have quite literally taken the gun and been like, I'm gonna go find Bobby Joe, F this noise. Anyways, this does lead into my next favorite scene, which is when Ash's deadite side awakens and grabs the annoying dude and throws him. I was like, thank you. I thought he died, and he didn't. But it's still a great scene. Of course, this spooks Annie, and she runs back inside the house, and her and Ash hash it out. Once Ash's good side comes back, which is triggered by the necklace of Linda, we brought that back into this movie as well, and that'll be brought up again later on. Oh, by the way, before Ash awakens from his deadite side, the annoying guy from earlier who didn't die ends up dying in the cellar. So, after Annie stabs him, so that was great. My eighth favorite scene is when Ash assembles his chainsaw arm. We get the iconic quote of groovy. After Ash retrieves the pages from the cellar, this goes into my ninth favorite scene, which is where he has his fight with the deadite mom. Recites the entire passage of the missing pages And then we thought she died before she can finish, but she wakes up and spends her last dying breath finishing that passage. This sends the Deadites and Ash back in time. Once Ash awakens and he sees the Deadite has came with him, he kills him with his shotgun. But then Ash realizes that he was the prophet that was shown in the book earlier on. And of course this leaves us with a cliffhanger into the third movie, Army of Darkness, which we will talk about next time. Overall thoughts. I found this film decent. They definitely fixed the plot holes that were horrid in the first movie. I like that part. Unfortunately, I prefer the Deadites of the first movie over the Deadites of the second movie. And then the couple from the second movie was just unbearable. For me, at least. I could not stand them, and I could not even remember the guy's name. Also, the special effects of this movie, I cannot express how much I love the Linda dance in the woods scene. I also like that we're finally seeing more of Ash, and we're seeing a sillier side of him alongside with the silly Deadites. I felt that this movie was a great balance of kooky and gory. And that is it for this review. Please like the video, comment if you want to talk about this movie. I would love to hear your thoughts. What did you guys think about this movie? Do you guys like this movie more than the first one? There's a lot of people who say they do, or they like the first one more than the second one. You guys will know what my thoughts on that are when I rank them. Please subscribe if you like my content. Check out my other videos. And thank you again for watching. Bye-bye!